Hi, it's Shannon here from houseimprovements.com. In today's video, we're going to show how to install a hanging microwave unit. So this would be the microwave that generally would be installed over top of your range top. You know, it has the fan, venting fan, and everything in it as well. You'll get your unit all out of the packaging. You'll find all your miscellaneous bolts and nuts and bits and pieces. You're going to find a wall mounting bracket, and there's a few different variations, but it'll be something like this. You're also going to find a couple templates. You're going to need a template that goes up underneath the bottom side of the cupboard above the unit and helps you mark out all your holes. Then there's going to be a template. A lot of times it's paper. In this case it's just part of the box, but template that goes on the back wall. Whoops. The back wall here also for determining some hole locations. So you definitely need those. Don't throw all your box and everything away until you're done and you know you've got everything. One of the other first things you're going to need to do, if your microwave is venting out like outside of the house, then you're likely going to have to remove the cover here on the blower assembly and change the blower. Most microwaves will come with the blower installed to recirculate the air, so basically whatever it sucks up off the range, the fan will blow it back out wherever the microwave vents into the home. But if you need to vent it either straight out the back wall or up through the cabinet and then outside, you need to remove this panel and access the motor housing here. There's usually a screw, which would be, maybe this one doesn't have one. Yeah, this one screw back here on the back must be holding it in too. So I'll just remove this screw. See if I can kind of show you. There's one screw here that appears like it's into the blower assembly as well. Let's just see if I can pull it out now. Maybe this one is too. We'll get them all out eventually. I don't think this one should have to come out, but we'll see. What's holding us in? Something is definitely holding it. At this point, I may have to actually read the instructions because usually that will just pull right out, and it's not. I don't see any other hole. Okay, I'm going to check the instructions. Remove those two screws. Oh, I see the screws. Okay. So I can put these two back in. And then I'll turn this and just show you on this one where the I guess if I would have read the big lettering on the back here, screws, blower screws, I thought it was just pointing to this. The screws are actually way back in here. You can't actually see them on this one. So we'll pull those out and then it should slide right out like I thought. One on there. You notice I have some cardboard down on the counter here, so when I'm moving this around I'm not scratching anything. Okay, so the blower unit would come out. There's the cord here that you can unplug. So like I said, depending on your, obviously this is sitting on its end, right? Everybody understands that. So when it's in place, the microwave's actually sitting like this. So either if you're vented outside, it can be done two ways. Either the blower needs to be blowing up here and into some ductwork that would be up in this cupboard and then out, or it might be blowing out the back and going straight out to the exterior. So it's just a matter of orientating this fan the right direction for what you're doing. In our case, we needed it just the way they had it in there, which is blowing forward because this one vents into the house right here. So I'll just plug that all back in. I just wanted to show you how that kind of worked so that if you had to switch it, you know what you're kind of looking for. Once I found all the screws, it was easy to get out. So I'll just throw these screws back in and put that cover back on. Now, I guess I'm just going to mention, so once you determine which way that blower had to be, if it is exhausting to the outside, there's another piece that gets added on here. So you put that cover back on, and there's a damper, and it comes in the box, comes with the microwave. If your unit is exhausting to the exterior and needing to blow upwards, then this ends up getting mounted to the top, and it's just a matter of a couple screws. If it's on the back blowing out, it gets mounted on the back, okay? So, but just make sure you have this damper in there. Basically all it does is it allows, when the fan comes on, it allows the air and the fan to blow whatever you're blowing out, the smell or the smoke out, but it is closed so that there's less wind being able to blow in from outside. So you definitely want that on there. Okay, so I think the camera will just get rearranged, and I'll throw these screws in, and then we'll get ready to do the templating. Okay, so we've gone ahead and mounted our upper template, but first of all I'll just kind of explain a few things that we did in preparation here. So first of all, in our case, we had an existing unit here that we took down already, and you can see our other video for that if you like. Now that other one was hanging right on the drywall, and this tile was added up to the bottom of it. The problem or the issue we ran into is the new microwave actually, if you can see the tiles here, the new microwave actually hangs down and covers basically one row of this tiling. So what we decided to do was build out the back wall here where the bracket is going to go. This bracket is going to get mounted in this location. So we needed to build this out to at least flush with the face of the tile, or even just protruding a little bit, like we might be a 1/16 of an inch there wider, so that this bracket can hang properly and not break the tile. So we added this piece of plywood on here. We've got it screwed right into studs, so that part's good. We've located our studs, which you can see here. There's one there, and we've got a double stud, it looks like, over here. We found the center line between the cabinets from side to side, so we've marked that out, and that's our basic marking on the back to get ready for the template. For the upper template, again, what we did, the template will have a bunch of different increments here. You know, you might have older cabinets that have a frame on the back or whatever, so it's got these measurements built into it for you to trim to, so just read the instructions carefully to be sure that you are marking or taping this on in the right position. Basically, you want this back edge to be at the back of the microwave. So what we did in our case, we marked a line 3/8 of an inch, which is the thickness of the plywood we added, from the back wall, so that our back of the microwave is sitting out properly too. Otherwise the microwave would have been actually tipping, the top would have been tipping too far in. Okay, then we cut the template to width. Actually, we didn't even have to cut ours, it actually fits just fine, but you can cut it to be sure that your center lines line up, and then we just use some tape to hold it in place. Okay, now you go through all that because you basically, in this case, we need 1, 2, 3 holes marked out. And also, if you were cutting for ductwork through the cabinet, it has the template here for that as well. So okay, so that's all kind of on this template, and you need it. So I've got that template up there. I want to drill the first holes, and it shows to drill 3/8 holes in these two locations. So that's the two I'll start with, and those are the mounting bolts that go through. Now there will be other holes in this shelf already from the old microwave, but of course they don't line up with the new one. You know, Murphy ruled again. So we're gonna have to drill all new holes. So it's just simply lining up with the center mark of the hole on the template. I'm trying not to press too hard. It does help if you hold a scrap piece of block down here so you don't bust out too much on the top side. Okay, so we want to drill right through. Same thing on this side. Where is it? Right here. Obviously, before you do all that, just be sure there's no wires laying up there in your way or anything if you have anything in that cupboard. Now where the cord goes through, which is this bigger hole, we need 1.5 inches, I think it said. Yeah, 1.5 inches. So I'm going to use a hole saw for that. Make sure there's no wires up there. Actually, there is a wire in the location. Now with this one, because it's got a pilot bit, once it comes through the top like it did, now I can come down through here and it'll give a cleaner cut inside the cabinet. Okay, so we got the 3 holes that we need up there. We don't need the venting hole because this one is just going to recirculate. So we can actually remove this template. So these ones right here are our new holes. There's one there, one here, and this one here, and these other ones are just the old ones that don't line up for the new microwave. So now our back wall template, like I said, in a lot of cases it will usually be paper just like the upper one was, but this one isn't. It's got a couple marks here to line up with center. Just got to extend that line down a bit. So we're putting it right up tight to the bottom of the cabinet. Line our little V-notches up in this case with the center lines. And it told us we want to mark these 2 locations right there. And we need the bottom edge down here as well. So it's kind of hard to do on this corrugated edge, but looks like it's pretty much following the grout line from what it looks like underneath. Okay, so that's the bottom edge of the bracket. So we can just reconfirm that because this mark here should end up in that hole, like so. And then yeah, our pencil line is just lining up right here with the bottom of the bracket. So we must have done something right. Seems to be lining up. So with this bracket, what they do is they send a few different things. They send 2 leg bolts like this, and they prefer, you for sure want to get one of these in at least 1 stud. It's better if you can get 2. In our case, we're going to be all right. We're going to actually get to be able to get in that stud and this stud. But then they also send these kind of butterfly fasteners as well. So what you would do is put the bracket up there. If you had to just drill through drywall, you put the bracket up, mark that spot on here. In fact, why don't we just do one? We'll do one in the middle, and then you see exactly what we're doing. So we're going to line our bracket up with the marks that our template gave us, and at the bottom, and we'll just put one of these other brackets there. Now I can't put any screws in this bottom row, so they give you lots of options here. So we're going to stay in the upper row so that we're not getting into the tile. So that gives us that location. Now what happens is, which bolt hole was that? So they send you some of these bolts. You need to put it through the hole on the bracket that you were going to use, and then thread this butterfly part through it. So what happens is we're going to drill this hole, and it has to be big enough that this whole end goes through it. We fold the wings in, insert it into the hole. Once it gets in the hole past the drywall, that's going to open up. Then we can pull the bolt from our side, come here, tight against the back side of the drywall, and when we start threading it in, eventually it'll suck tight, and this will be against the back side of the drywall. Basically the drywall, in our case the plywood, will be pinched between there, and it has pretty good holding power that way. The one thing I didn't check, because I wasn't originally going to use it, but I just need to see how big of a hole we need to drill for that. So I'm just going to double check that. Okay, so we've got our thing marked there. It's asked for a 3/4 inch hole in order to get that butterfly through it. So we're going to drill that. Okay, so we've got our hole that butterfly will go into. So like I said, we have to get it pre-started into here. And hopefully it's long enough with that extra plywood on there. Oops. So just fold it in, push it right inside so it'll open up. You can kind of see in there that it's spread open. I don't know, maybe you won't on there. And by just pulling back on it a little bit, it keeps enough pressure against the wall to keep them from spinning. And we can tighten it up. What did I do with that? Here it is. Okay, I'm not going to get it right snug until I get my end ones in that we know are going to go into studs there. So for those ones, for the size that they sent, we're going to drill a 3/16 hole, just pre-drilled into the stud so we aren't splitting the stud or anything. And I just got my bracket sitting with those marks that the template gave us. Don't go too crazy, just in case there's some electrical back there. You know, don't go in any more than about 1.25 inches. Okay, so we got those pre-started. Now we can put in our leg bolts that they sent, leg screws. I'm just making sure I'm lined up with the line down there. Okay, then we can tighten up this center one here a little bit. So like I said, any that I've done, they recommend you have at least one of these bolts into the actual stud, which shouldn't be a problem. They're 30-inch openings, so there should be at least one stud in there. Generally, you should find two. But if not, just make sure you get one of those butterflies in there too. So we've got that. We can get rid of this tape if it will pull out of there. Hopefully. That plywood's just going to stay in there. We're not going to see that once the microwave's hanging off of there. So we've got all that, so we're pretty much ready to mount that microwave on there. Okay, now this is definitely easier with 2 people, but it can be done with 1. You just got to hopefully have all your stuff within arm's reach. And what I'm going to do then, I'm going to grab the microwave. First thing I'm going to do is it's going to clip up onto these hooks here. You're going to have some kind of hooks, there might be 3, but the back corner is going to basically, if you have it tipped out, is going to sit up on there. And that'll take some of the weight until you get it pushed up here, line up your bolts and get them all started. Before you push it right in place though, make sure that you've fed your cord up through this hole. Okay, so I'm going to grab the microwave. Is the camera going to be okay there? Okay. So just want to make sure you kind of have your cord in a position where you're able to get a hold of it and handle it too. This one's a tight fit. Okay, so I'm just making sure that it dropped onto those hooks, and it did. And you can see basically at this point you have to be feeding that cord in there or you're not going to get your hand up in there. Lots of dust up there. And we want to just kind of keep tilting it, keep pulling the cord so that everything lines up there. Like so. We're all on those hooks just nicely. Of course, I didn't kick my stool over here. Okay, so I've got the microwave up there, a stool to stand on. You just want to get these bolts started here. They're really long. Oh, just take the knee out of there. Get one in there as far as you can, so you don't have to be hanging on to it the whole time. That'll basically support the weight. And then I'll get this other one lined up. Just going to throw a drill on those just to speed it up. Just don't over tighten it with the drill or anything. Okay, so I just ran those up there. I'll just double check them with that. Doesn't need to be super tight, just so it draws the microwave up tight. And we've got our cord. Simply route it around wherever it has to go up here. Plug it in, do some cleanup, put your doors back on, and you're pretty much ready to run. So we've just got to pop the doors back onto this cabinet. This particular European hinge has a simple release back here, and to clip it on I just basically fit it into the hinge and snap the back closed. To get it off I squeeze this. Yours might have another screw here that you need to loosen off and tighten up when you get it all lined up. But these ones just simply snap on like that. So something else you might have to do, just close both your doors and just make sure you've got enough clearance here. You may have to adjust the doors up so they aren't rubbing. These ones just clear, so we should be all right. Okay, down below I just wanted to make sure that you've seen the hinge, or not the hinge, but the bracket here. So here's that little tab that's on the bracket, and it fits into a slot right up here on the microwave. So that's what it's resting on the back there. You can see the same thing here. Okay, so that pretty much wraps up our microwave install. And as I mentioned before, we also have one on removing an old microwave, so you might want to check that out as well. In this case, the homeowner is just updating to a different finish, and eventually all the appliances will be the stainless variety. If you let us know how you made out with your project. You know, if you watched this video or any or other ones, you can comment on the bottom of the video or even in the forum on, as far as how your project went compared to what we showed you. And also you can, if you have questions on it, maybe you're stuck, you got a bit of a problem or whatever, you can also post that in the forum. Click the little thumbs up icon if you liked what you've seen. That'll help our stats out a little bit. And you can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter. We've also got Patreon as well. So thanks a lot for watching, and tune in for our next ones.